What's going on, sugar tits? Hope you're doing well, baby boys, baby girls. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another So production. We are doing it on Wednesday, December the 21st, 2022. It's a slow jam Wednesday. It's another slow jam. Doing it on a Wednesday, baby, with the boys, with the girls all around the world. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're in Toronto, shout out to everybody in the city. If you're in Vancouver in the West Coast, if you're in America, down in the US, doing it big. If you're in Mexico, South America, Asia, Europe, Antarctica, Africa, Papua New Guinea as per usual, New Zealand, Australia, shout out to everybody doing it. If you've been with me, thank you very much from the get-go. If you've just joined us today, buckle up, buckle down, follow me on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and check out patreon.com/RobSadri. That's where it's at, baby. We just hang loose. It's your captain speaking today. It's your captain speaking today, and we're flying high, baby. Flying high, soaring through the sky. And you know, here's the thing, with this ticket, with the ticket that you just purchased through viewing these videos, you're like, hey captain, where are we going? I'm gonna have you concentrate on the journey and not the destination, my friends, because that's what they say, man. It's the journey that counts, not the destination. Well, in some cases the destination is quite important as well, not gonna lie to you, but enjoy the journey, and that's what it is. I just want everybody to feel safe, secure, know that this ship is gonna be going, it's smooth sailing, but we're gonna head into some rough seas at some periods down the line, I'm sure of it. But not to worry. Do we have enough life jackets? No, absolutely not. I want everybody to be reliant on their swimming and survival techniques, if you will. Do we have enough food, supplies? Absolutely not. No. We're out there and we're in the wild, baby. We're a bunch of wild people. We might just catch some fish. We might have to, make do with what we got, and that's what it is, baby. I'm telling you, you're gonna have fun regardless. That's the whole point. And it doesn't matter how many people we lose. It doesn't even, because that's what it is. People who are on board will give birth to more people, hopefully. That'll be like an ancestral pool of this. That's what it is, baby. This ship is huge. This ship is massive. It travels on water and through mid-air. So plenty of room for everybody. Thank you for all the love and support, sending it right back at you. Let's get right into it. Let's have some fun. I'll begin by telling you this, man. It was a few days ago, not gonna lie. I was on the shitter, taking a shit, and you get your hopes up every time you sit down. You're like, man, if I can pass a solid deuce, one that doesn't break in pieces, I can feel good. That's a good solid start to the day. You have your routine. You work out in the morning, have your little coffee, have your little oatmeal or your breakfast of choice, of course, to each their own, and then you go sit down at one point or another in the early AMs, to take a dump, and all you're thinking of is like, oh man, if it comes out in one piece, that's a good sign. It means I'm taking care of myself. It means I'm gonna have a solid day. But that's what it is, man. I was sitting on the shitter and I got the hiccups whilst trying to relieve myself. You know what I'm saying? It's what it is, man, and it wouldn't stop, so I kept on hiccuping during taking a deuce, and I was heartbroken, because that's what it is. Instead of getting one solid piece of doo-doo, it was little pebbles. I kept scissoring my own shits, if you will. That's why every time I hiccuped, a little piece got scissored, and it just and I looked at it at the end when I was about to flush down the toilet, as you normally do, for a quick second. Nothing I'm not observing it just to see, but you're like, man, all this scissoring action, all this hiccups, what does that do? That's what it does. Provides you with little pebbles in the bowl, baby. But that's life. No matter what, you get through it. That's okay. That's all right. But that's where I'm at right now in life, man. And I was at one point, I realized it's been several months, ladies and gents, that I had not, living that single life, I'm not, I'll go, especially during fall, winter, I'll go a few months without maybe, manscaping all the regions. And I'm not the hairiest dude, but I'm not I've got some hair here and there. That's not my point. My point is that every once in a while, and I've mentioned this before, I'll shave in and around the old butthole, if you will. But I hadn't done it in like 3-4 months, and it was like getting in the way. You know what it is. And to each their own. I'm not saying you do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. For me, I'm like every few months, I'm like, you know what? It's time to just do a little bit of landscaping down here, if you will, and get rid of a few of the extra branches and leaves. And that's what I did, man. I shaved my ass, and I was just looking at myself in the mirror for a second. And again, it's been a while living that single life. You might find yourself, if you're out there, you might relate to this. You might find yourself lonely at times, and that's fine, not a big deal. But you look at yourself in the mirror for a second, and you're like, man, that's a. I'm not here like tooting my own horn or anything. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not here like trying to big up my derriere game or anything like that. I don't got like a big caboose. It's not like any, but it's all right. It's nice to look at. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And I looked at it for a second, and it had been a while. It's maybe like 3-4 months now that I've shaved my ass, and I was just looking at it. I was like, man, that's a nice looking ass. And I'm like, it makes sense. Going back in my life, reviewing for a second, and it made sense. It just clicked. I'm like, it makes sense that in my younger days, I did put a finger or two up my own butt just for the fuck of it. You know what I mean? You're like, it's. I see that, and I'm like, you know what? That something along the lines of that will do. If I can find something like that. Again, it's not like I'm not saying I got anything special or anything like that, but I'm just like, it's pleasing. It's all right. It's easy on the eyes. Not too big, not too small. Smooth. Nothing like, nothing popping out at any, like, it's all right. It's in decent shape. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but that's what it is. I'm just like, if you can find something like that down the line and like hold on to it for life, that'd be pretty sweet. With more or less balls, emphasis on less balls, heavy on the vag, but the ass, if it's like give or take similar to my own, I'm not gonna mind. But I'd like a female ass that's like a little bit, juicier and bigger and what have you, but that's just preference. But I'm just saying, overall, I'm like, it made sense. It made sense what we've done. And I like to just share that with the fellas and the ladies. I don't know why, but sometimes that's what it is. We come in here and share, and we care, and we grow. And we have fun, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Let's get right into it. A few things that I've been thinking about, a few things that I've been writing, ideas that we've jotted down, and we're going to go through them together and see where it leads. All about having fun. Let me get a sip of this bad boy. Boys and girls, hypothetical sitch. Let us go into hypothetical sitches. Baby, doing it. Hypothetical situation. You are faced with picking between a young child, a prego lady, a good old prego lady, or an elderly man. Okay, I'm talking maybe 102 years old. He's a centenarian, let's put it this way. 102 years old. You got a young lady who is pregnant, and you have a child. 3 individuals to deal with. You come across a scenario. Okay, you're supposed to pick between one of these 3 bad boys and bad gals, and you're supposed to assist them in a dire circumstance, and you can only pick one. Who do you assist? I was thinking about this because you never know. You never know about dire circumstances where they arise, where you're gonna have to be called out there to be of service, because there are people out there calling for service and nobody else is in sight, and you're looking around and you're like, man, somebody should really be of assistance here, and nobody in sight. So it's on you, fella, lady. Time to put on your big boy pants. Time to put on your big lady, granny panties. Put on your tighty whities, boys. It's time to turn into real men's now. And you're about to help a person, but you can only help one. Okay, dire circumstances. Do you help the young fella? Do you help the lady with the baby? Or do you help the 102-year-old who's kicking it all day, every day? Let's start with the young man. Let's start with this young fella, this young child. It could be a female. It doesn't even matter at that point. They're young, and it could be anything. It could be as small as crossing the street. They're in need of help for you to cross the street. Do you help them out? So here's the thing. If you help, here's the thing. First of all, many a questions you should ask your, whose child is this anyway? What is this child doing outside that he or she is in need of dire help to cross the street, for example? So initially you start asking yourself these questions. You assess this individual, And what are you doing? If you do, should you even help them? Is it even beneficial to help them? You know, you help them cross the street today. Fast forward, they're 19, 21 years old now. Next thing you know, they're working downtown selling their ass for a little bit of smack, for a little bit of that flocka. And that's what it is, baby. So you help somebody right now, down the line, what kind of role model are you being? What kind of example are you leading? Do they get this delusional idea of the world that every time they're in need of help, they can rely on somebody and they can like go and ask for help? What kind of, you know, are they gonna grow up just thinking the world is full of freebies and, you know, oh, help is always there. I can rely on people. I can trust people. What kind of individual do you want to help society create? And these are all the questions that I ask myself. I'm like, if somebody's, you know, you got to assess the situation. And kids are annoying. So at first glance, you're like, oh, I don't want to help an annoying little kid, you know. And it might be, you know, they might be just up to like some tomfoolery. You might help them cross this, because you never know with kids. They might just be playing. You might help them. Oh, fella, can you help me cross the street? You help them across the street. Now there's like 4 or 5 of them, and they're like, I got this guy to help me across the street, or something, you know. And what happens? Let's say it's another circumstance. Let's say it's an, you know, a back alley of sorts, and this kid is just like you come out of a random door in a back alley where, you know, a group of hooligans, a group of thugs, a group of hoodlums, you might say, are just lingering about, playing dice, playing cards, you know, big boy activity, small to medium sized big boy activity. You know what I'm talking about. And all of a sudden they see this young man and they're like, oh, let's jump this kid. What do? Do you jump in there? You've just stepped into this back alley as well. And what do? Do you step in there? Do you become the hero? Do you save this young lady? What kind of message is that? That yes, every time they're in trouble, somebody's gonna be there. That they and what you know, and you fight for them. Fine, they're fine today. But what about down the line? You know, they're gonna be going around town, the city, in their own school. Kids might make fun of them. You know, call them things, point and call them things, such as pushover Polly, for example. Oh, look, it's pushover Polly. Why? Because back when he was like 9.5 and he was getting jumped by, let's say, 5 people ranging between the ages of 20 to 30, somebody jumped in there and helped with the situation. Next thing you know, this kid's not fighting his own battles. What's going on? It is a slippery slope, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying, man. So with kids, it's risky. I'd say, again, between the 3 options, that's just for let's just leave the kid for now. You know, I'm just saying, if it's 3 people, I'm assessing the individuals really quick. I'm going through all these thoughts, right? Next up, the 102-year-old, this beautiful gentleman who is barely hanging on to life, but nonetheless hanging on tight. You know, the Grim Reaper will come around. This guy's just like, he's playing dead, dude. He's playing dead. He's all right. That's what it is. He's playing possum right there. He's just like, oh, I'm already gone, baby. Move on to the... And that's how he's played it thus far. But that'll only work a few times, you know? How many heart transplants had this fella had? How many resources has this guy used? You know, 102 years old. What are you even doing outside? You know, and that's what it is, man. And you're looking at yourself and like, you're in the prime of your life. You're in the prime of your life and doing things, and all of a sudden this, like, you know, this old wrinkly prune comes and tells you, oh, they need assistance crossing the street. And here you are in your prime with your swagger, with your just, you're killing it in life. You're doing it, and then all of a sudden you got this, you know, what ifs fella like in his hundreds coming up to you and like trying to damper the mood, trying to be just like, oh, I need help, I'm fragile, I'm old. Again, you're in your prime. It's kind of like very similar to like the whole Messi and Salt-based situation. It's like, get off me, bro. You know what I'm talking about? You don't want to be like, what are you even doing here? So I can see how from like, if you're like, man, I can't afford to like lose my sense of, because like, again, you're like walking around town looking cool, and this fella, 102 years old, probably like, you know, drooling maybe, shoulders topped off with white flakes. What is it? Dandruff? Just dead skin? Who knows? Who knows? Combination of all the above. But then you gotta ask yourself, what am I even doing? 102 years old. If I'm investing time and energy in saving this fella, how much more longer does he have here? So again, think, he can only save one, right? Can only save one. This fella's already at the end of the road. What's the point? Let's leave this fella for a second and examine what we've got next. Who else is on the table? I see a preggo lady with a baby. A preggo lady with a baby. And no one, here's the thing. I know what you're thinking, ladies and gents. Pregnant women are annoying. You guys said it. I will, and I get it. I get it. With the constant food cravings. With the old complaining about aches. Oh, the baby's kicking. Oh, my lower back is in pain. Oh, my tits are so full. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling cold. I want to mix weird food together. And you got to still be sitting there and be like, that's my baby. That's my baby doll. So I get it, man. I get it. So all of a sudden, but that's the thing. You're not related to this lady, but that's the thing. But you know ladies, you know pregnant ladies. And that's what it is, man. So you know what I'm talking about, man. Pregnant ladies just be like, oh, I can't reach all the way around to one side from the, oh, can you help get this thing? You know what I mean? Always like, it's like watching a turtle fall on its back, on his or her shell, just like, oh, help me up. And like, you help him once, you help him twice, but it gets old quick. It's like, get it together, lady. But the point is, ladies and gents, as annoying as pregnant ladies may be, according to you guys out there, you're faced with this situation again, 3 individuals to pick from. But here's the thing, with the pregnant lady, although they're annoying, I get it. If you help one person, technically you are helping 2 people, which in terms of your overall public image, your overall just like sense of self-worth. I almost said self-of-sense-worth. Self-of-sense-worth. Your sense of self-worth. Keep saying that. Sense of self-worth. Self-of-sense-worth. Sense of self-worth. Your sense of self-worth, essentially, will get boosted because you're helping 2 people. And what looks better in the public eye? Helping a young man get across the street or fight off a bunch of hoodlums, helping an older gentleman maybe cross the street or get his shoes untied or unstuck from the train tracks, or helping a young woman with a baby. Think about that. 6 o'clock news, you're on the news. Local gentleman helps young woman and child. How beautiful is that headline? Young woman and child, 2 people. So you're doing half the work, but you're getting twice the credit. Think about that. And that baby owes you, big time. And you should definitely, every birthday you should send a card, wish him or her happy birthday, but also remind him of that time that you helped his mama and him out, because he wouldn't have any recollection, but you want to be like, I got this on you, baby. Not that you should be keeping tabs or anything, but do make receipts try to get it recorded. Try to, and don't, obviously here's the thing, if there's nobody recording, if there's nobody out there taking notice, then, it's up to you whether or not you want to get involved. I get it. But that's what it is, man. Who would I choose? I think, again, based on the, between the annoying kid, the lame grandpa, and the, and a whining pregnant lady, I'll go with the whining pregnant lady any day. But that's just me, man, and I'll do it out of the goodness of my heart, because that's the kind of fella that I am. And hopefully there are cameras there, because, it'd be nice if you're doing something, I'd be like, oh, you don't want to exert all that energy, and it's like, did it even happen? The classic, somebody farts in the woods, if there's nobody to hear it, did somebody even fart in the woods? Classic. Point is, ladies and gents, that we have fun around here. We go all the way around town, and we'll digress, but we'll always bring it back somehow. Thanks to you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of this bad boy. So good. God. Point is, a lot of things are happening. Now, I gotta say, it is the holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, by the way, to all my Jews. What's up, baby? To all my Jays. Happy Hanukkah. May your menorahs be lit. I believe it started last Sunday. It'll be going on till the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So happy Hanukkah if you're celebrating. It is the holiday season. Christmas is around the corner. But even though it is the holiday season, I've been noticing, and this has been something that's been more or less it's been less on my radar, but it's been getting a little bit more attention. And I didn't know what to think of it at first. I wondered when I heard it, when I saw little like news pieces or articles, excuse me, I was wondering, I'm like, is this the regular scheduled programming, or is this is something on the rise? What am I talking about? Ladies and gents, here in the GTA, in Toronto, in Ontario, in Canada overall, I think, if I'm not, again, this, I wasn't sure, and I'm still a little bit, not quite sure, but I believe crime might be on the rise, from what I gather, from what I see, from what I hear. We've gotten a little bit of increase in crime, apparently, in the city. And I went online and I looked at the stats, and it is going up. It's, it's not, again, Canada, Toronto, Ontario, we're very lucky. We got a beautiful country. We got a beautiful city here. For the most part, everything is good to go. A lot of lovely people, but there's crime everywhere. But I've been noticing stories popping off here. A few weeks ago, or maybe, I don't even remember the timeline, but you hear a lady that gets hurt at the bus station or the subway station just a few days ago. And I've heard many stories like that. Somebody got jumped, somebody got mugged, this, that, the other, shooting here, this, that. And I was just like, some of it is like regular city occurrences in a city where a lot of people, millions of people live, millions of people come and go for work, school, just living their life. A lot of people are mingling amongst each other. So yeah, there is a regular rate of crime that is inevitable in every city. So every time I do hear a story, I'm not like super alarmed by it. I'm not like, oh my God, is it? But it has been, I feel like, a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, on the rise. And just recently, over the past few days, we had a fella who took a gun and apparently shot 5 of his neighbors in a condo just a little bit north of Toronto. And once the police arrived, they shot him and killed him. So 5 people dead, he killed 5 people, and the police shot this man. And that was, that's kind of like, oh, yikes, you hear, and that's 5 people. You might hear stories like, oh, one person was beefing with another person, and then, somebody got shanked, somebody got pistol whipped, something happened. But this is one person who apparently, I don't even know I don't know the backstory of it really. What I've heard, what I know, as much as they've revealed to the public, is that this fella was apparently, a little bit of a problematic residence, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. He was having issues and beefs with his other neighbors, if that's, I don't know, but that's, that's what it is. And there have been, I believe some of the members of that residence, of that building, were also, on some sort of board that's related to the building itself. So, members of a building board, board of buildings, building boards, the people who meet for buildings in every building. Some people meet their boards and build, and that's what they did. And apparently, and again, I'm butchering this, but that's the gist of it essentially. This fella went and shot 5 different individuals and eventually got killed. And that was one little incident, not so little, but I mean, like, that was another incident that was actually a little bit bigger than little. I'm like, 5 people, that's alarming. And then just the other day, I heard again another news story about, 8 teenage girls in Toronto found this fella somewhere. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what the basis of the altercation was, but these young ladies, teenagers, young ladies, young girls, went and apparently got in a scrap with this fella downtown and shanked him and killed him. Yikes, dude. So I'm just like, man, you hear a little bit of this, you hear a little bit of that, you hear other stories, and it's like, man, is this like a regular rate of crime, or is this like a little bit more amplified? given everything that we've all experienced in the past 3 years and moving forward and like everything. Oh, I'm not excusing anyone's behavior or anything, but there is always a part of my brain that is, when I hear maybe an uptick of crime or any irregularities, if you will, I'm always interested. I'm like, oh, was this because you hear one person shooting 5 people? If it's one individual doing one thing, you're like, okay, that's maybe a psychological issue on an individual level. But when you hear like 8 young people coming together and coordinating, or maybe not coordinating, I don't know the details, but allegedly they get into a little squabble with a fella over a bottle of booze and shank him and kill him, essentially, in downtown. So is that, and when a situation happens where there are more individuals involved, is that psychological, or is that like a little bit sociological? Because it's now we're looking at a group, baby. Now it's like 8 people. So, I'm not stoked about this story. This is actually kind of a bummer, not going to lie to you, during the holiday season. But these type of things are, again, a part of our reality. And around the holiday season, a lot of things do get an uptick. You might get a little bit of an uptick for crime because, especially given the circumstances, people might be, feeling all sorts of pressures. Not that it's excusing it, but they might be going out there looting, committing crime, this, that, and the other. And there's also, January, February typically unfortunately, they're the months known to have an uptick of, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've briefly read into, during January, February is typically the time where people, suicides go up as well, because that's the time you're like, oh man, I'm all drained out for holiday spendings. I'm just like, oh, my life's not whatevs that it should. Like, you got all these things. Unfortunately, some people go through it. And so there's an uptick in suicides during several months of the year. So there's definitely things that are like normal in society. You can't like have zero crime. I don't think that's plausible. But at the same rate, like what is abnormal and what's causing it? Again, is it an individualistic problem? Is it a societal problem? And man, oh man. But that's the thing. You can look at this situation and easily, especially when it relates to the ladies. First of all, with the young women, this is, I get, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, fam. They said something about the future being female. I mean, this is a new one. I don't think I've heard of a story like this. Is peculiar. I don't think I've heard of a story like this. 8 young ladies in living in a beautiful city, getting together and coordinating somehow, more or less, allegedly stabbing a fella to death. What is going on? What is going on when young females are being more proactive in terms of, getting together and orchestrating crime? It kind of, this sucks, especially if you're like this sucks for, like, let's say if you're like MS-13, this sucks. This is a bad look for you, because like these are young women doing crimes that normally are associated with like gang related activities, so that's what I'm saying, man. But there are not too many pros to this, but I will say this, if they didn't do the murdering, I think that whole, it's good that kids are active. It's good that kids are active. It's good that they're getting together. It's good that they're doing stuff. I wasn't a big commitment fella when I was in my teens, man. I'll tell you this, the biggest thing I could probably commit to with a group of friends for a short period of time, because daddy always liked his me time, that's not gonna lie. I'd say, I'd go over to a friend's basement, we'd play a little bit of Halo, and by that I mean I'd watch my friends play Halo, because I wasn't even into like the whole shooting games. I was just like, let's hang. Other games I'm down for, but like, shooter games, killing games, I wasn't so, it wasn't my... But that's what I did here and there. Go outside, go to the local park, do things. But times have changed, man. And I don't know what it is. I'm gonna, I'll say this. All the tic-tacking doesn't help. All this fucking fucking getting online and doing that fucking shimmy, fuck it. All this fucking tic-tacking probably doesn't help. It's definitely not like directly correlated to producing, killers out there, but I bet it doesn't help getting people to fall in line and do movements and shit. You know what I mean? Oh, we're gonna just like whatevs. We're gonna like bounce our like little shoulders up and down like this, and we're gonna go like this. We're gonna go like this, and it's all baby steps. It's all baby steps. Next thing you know, it's what is this? A bottle in my hand. It starts with dance with a bottle in your hand. Dance with a bottle of water in your hand. A year into it, dance with a bottle of booze in your hand. Fucking gyrating with a bottle of booze. Next thing you know, ditch the bottle. Dance downtown with no bottles. Search for a fellow who's got a bottle of booze in his hands. Maybe it's the Tic Tacs. I don't know. What is it? Is it bad parenting? If it's one kid, I'd be like, man, maybe that's a case of neglect. But like 8 kids getting together, and the thing that sucks about it, because if it was like adults who killed, you could easily be like, man, fuck those adults, fuck those guys, fuck those gals, easily. If they were adults, but they're kids, so it's like, oh man, hits you right here, because you feel definitely bad for the individual who lost their life, unfortunately, but then you feel kind of sort of also for these kids, because they're kids, man. Like, a few days ago, I bet they were just like in the midst of whatever they were involved in, they were just still being kids, which sucks. Because now it's like, now you stepped into the big leagues, man. But here's the thing, another, in light of everything, finding a silver lining in all of this, for these young ladies, from now on, life can only be, you can only go up from here. That's because there's like literally 2 things that you probably don't want to do intentionally, at least in life: killing and raping. You don't want to kill or rape anybody intentionally. Because accidents might happen, God forbid. In terms of killing, accidents are probably easier. How do you accidentally rape somebody? I don't know, maybe somebody is skydiving out there and you happen to be lounging in your pool, skinny dipping, it's your pool, and you happen to have taken a blue chew a couple of hours earlier before jumping into the pool because you wanted to be ready for the evening. Now you're rocking a boner. You don't mind. You got bushes, you got shrubs. No one can see you in your own privacy. But this fella's chute is now opening. It's not opening, baby, and he's landing right there on top of your dick. Boom. You just raped the fella. But also, in that peculiar circumstance, because you were surprised, you not only raped, but you also probably got raped. But that's how an accidental rape happens. So if you're parachuting out there, things to think about. If you're skinny dipping out there with a boner pill, things to think about. Just looking out for the gang, just saying. But yeah, man, things you don't want to be doing in life is intentionally killing someone or raping somebody, and these ladies unfortunately have hit those very low lows very early on, which sucks. Most people, I don't wish this on anybody. I hope nobody ever goes through it, but that's what it is, man. From now on, it could only be, you can't go any lower than that. That sucks. But, and the fact that it sucks, it'll only get better from here on. It'll be a long while before it gets better. Let's be honest, but if they're willing to, I don't even know, what do you do with that situation? They're kids, man. They're youngins. What do you do? And we don't have, I don't believe in, man, it's rough. I don't believe in, death penalties. I don't believe in that. I believe in maybe, even for the worst horrific crimes, I think, jail time and some sort of rehab for minor crimes so that people can reintegrate into society. But this one's a doozy, man. 8 little kids. But that's the thing, man. Places where they're excelling, coordination. Probably they're really good at coordinating. Because again, I couldn't coordinate shit when I was a teenager. These guys are like, oh, we're gonna go downtown. I'm like, fucking, get into heavy activities. But that's just me, man. I don't know. To each their own. What else could it be? Is it again? But that's what I wonder what it is, man. Is it back in the day, they've done research. What is it? Parenting? Is it schooling? Is it, they've done surveys and shit. People thought maybe it's a lack of, maybe somebody out there is committing crimes because they're not working. These are kids, though. You can't even be like, oh, these guys are just they're out there not working. They should be in, I don't know, they should be in school. They should be with their family. I'm not here to point blame to it, but I'm just hoping we can learn from this. And if there is a little uptick, maybe we could oh man, I put a little bit of a just oh man, how do we lessen this and hopefully prevent more of these events occurring? I don't know. I don't got the answers. it is, it's one of those situations where, at least here's the thing, let's try to, how do you nip it in the bud? Let's start with this. It starts with the home, man. I'll tell you what, start looking at your kids a little bit more, pay attention to your kids, man. Let's go through some things that might be indicators that you might have a baby killer on your hand. um, do your kids, is your kid having a difficult time concentrating on tasks? Are they being a little bit active or maybe slash hyperactive? Indicator, might have a baby killer on your hand. Yes, according to my survey. According to my research, if your kid's on the phone too much, if you've got a young kid on the phone too much, what's your kid doing on the phone way too much? What kind of business are they? What happened to, because at one point or another, like, phones used to be, it meant business, baby. Phone calls in general. Phone calls were of importance. Having a phone, having some connection to somebody else meant that, man, this is of importance. I need to be either, these are my loved ones, this is my family, I need to be able to contact these people. Or no, I'm out there getting it, I'm hustling, I'm grinding, I gotta make contacts here, I gotta phone call somebody in Seoul, South Korea, I gotta see somebody in Pyongyang, I gotta go down to, Europe, do a little bit of hustling there, bartering, trading, importing, exporting. So you made phone calls that matter. There was a fax machine attached to the phone, hopefully. Maybe you had 2, 3 fax machines and pagers and shit. What I'm trying to say was a grown-up thing. Having a phone meant that there was something that, like, in case, and eventually it became normal for younger kids. I remember in my generation, we were on the edge of breaking into, phones really becoming a normalized part of life. But I remember being a teenager, and essentially at one point I was a late adapter to having a phone too. First a shitty phone that's just like, oh, it's a flip phone. And it was only to, like, call parents in need of, like, hey man, can you come pick me up from soccer practice? Can you, drop me off here and there? Again, emergencies. It wasn't anything like, man, we're gonna be on everything, getting access to all sorts of websites, all sorts of, and again, it comes with a pro and a con. I'm not saying one is better or worse, but I'm just saying that's the thing. Phones meant that, like, this is for you to make contact with. Again, if you're doing business, I get it, you need a phone. If you got loved ones that need to coordinate something with you, but now everybody's like, from a very young age. I wonder if that's a little teeny tiny factor from not socializing properly with people from a young age, being so, because that's the thing. There is some sort of a cutoff of that human experience that from a young age, if you're not experiencing that and all you know is only really interacting through digital devices, I'm not a, I would say, actually, you know what, I do know, as a full-blown expert in almost everything, I would say that, yes, young kids really do lose a little bit of that human interaction and really what it means to be a human once they're so accustomed to, having everything being mitigated through some sort of a cold, no feeling device, which is either a computer or a phone or something. So it's just like, it feels like, from what I'm observing from the outside, of course, and it feels like, everything's like getting broken down into like little games. And I think that may, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't think young kids today may have a realistic idea of what kind of consequences actions have. Maybe. But hopefully this is, one of the last events of this nature that'll happen. But who knows, man? We see upticks of this, upticks of that, and people are rattled up. And I'm not justifying anybody's behavior or anything. I'm not condoning any of these actions. I'm just like, yo, what's going on, dudes, ladies? You know what I'm saying? But daddy's back. Your captain's back, never left. And this ship is floating, baby, and we'd like to take everybody along with us. We'd like to take everybody along with us on this beautiful path. We don't know where it goes. Ups and downs of life, but that's what it is, baby. I'm here for you, you're here for me. And we're here for each other. We're supposed to, again, it is the holiday season. There's a time of community. It's a time of eating good food with friends, with family members, being thankful, being grateful, being in the moment. And man, I'm so appreciative of just being alive, and it's the little simple things. Every day you get up and it's a beautiful day. You're floating in midair on this little marble, and it is a gift, man. So I don't know. That's what it is. My heart goes out to the families who were, unfortunately, family members and also community members who were impacted by this. This is definitely a no bueno sitch. Yeah, man, that is, yeah, but I'm like, again, individually, if it happens, I'm like, it's easy to be like, if it's just one fella, you're like, oh, you write him off quickly, right? Oh, that's a psycho, that's a sociopath, that's a fella who's, on his meds, off his meds, that's a psycho. One person. But when it's a group of people, you're like, is this, because what is that? What is that? Was it one person's idea? How do the others comply? And it's, I as much as I hate the event, I do like the notion that drives it. What drives essentially 8 individuals to do something like this abruptly or not so abruptly? Who knows? I don't know the deets. I don't know the level of coordination. I don't know if this was, what was this? Weird is what it was. But that's what it is, man. Keep an eye out on those babies, and that's why I don't have any babies. That's what I'm talking about. You never know what these rugrats are gonna get up to. 2 seconds, you're not looking at them. Next thing you know, oh, I'm gonna shank a fella. Babies. Typical. Can't trust them. Won't trust them. Just kidding. Love the kids. One day, maybe. Who knows? But at the same rate, if it doesn't happen, I look at these things and I'm like, man, because that's the thing too, from the parents' perspective. And it might not even be, you might be like completely unaware of this. You might be thinking, man, my kids go to school, sure, they're a little bit like, they're always jumping up and down, a little bit active, a little bit, they're not like, they can't focus on subjects that they're not fully interested in, but kids are kids. And one day you get a phone call, Mr. Johnson, we're gonna have to speak with you downtown. That's what it is, man. You find out your little kid stabbed somebody. That's, man, I don't wish that on anybody. Yeah, but again, from here on forward, it is only up and at 'em. From here on forward. Point is, fam, that there's so many things you could be doing with your life, and I get inspired by all sorts of people. But man, oh man, lately I just came across something that's been on my mind that I gotta share this with everybody. And I see this fella out there doing his thing, and it's inspiring. And I'm like, man, if I can whatever is happening in this, whatever he's doing, who am I talking about? Let's talk about I've mentioned this fella. You're all familiar with him. This is not breaking news. Breaking news. Talking about TC, baby. Talking about TC Energy. Motherfucking TC, baby. Tom motherfucking Cruise. That TC Energy, son. What you know about that TC Energy, son? Where's it come from? What is it? What the fuck is it? Because it is beautiful to see this man. I believe he's 60 years old. I am at home watching a trailer for MI7. That's Mission Impossible 7. That's not Mission Impossible 1. I'm not talking about Mission Impossible 2. I'm not talking about 3, 4, 5, or 6, baby. I'm talking 7 at 60 years old. This fella is... man. This fella's like, I'm Tom Cruise. I'm gonna just go ahead and build this helicopter in the middle of the woods. I'm gonna get up in this helicopter. I'll fly this helicopter at the right altitude. I'll film myself jumping out of the helicopter, and who's driving this helicopter? Tom Cruise is driving this helicopter, but he also dove off this helicopter that he built by his own hands. And you're freaking out. You're like, what are you doing there, Tom? And he's like, I got this. Parachutes. Gets down on the ground. What's he making on the ground now? A makeshift object of sorts, maybe a cannon. He climbs in, shoots himself in midair, jumps back into the old helicopter before it crash lands on the ground, killing thousands of people. Take off once again. Where'd he go? I don't even see him. What is this? Is it a UFO? Is it a UAP? Oh, it's TC, baby. It's TC. Doing it at 60. What is going on? What is going on? And I want some of that. Whatever that is, I want some of that. How do you get some of that? I don't know. I don't know. If I'm being completely honest, ladies and gents. No homo. Yes, homo? If I could for certain things, you might do certain things. If I can get 10% of TC juice, I don't know what it is. if I could, like, I'll suck them off, dude, for like 1/10 of that. I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to be like jumping out of helicopters, but if I can, like, if I can happen to like fall down and manage and tumble and get back up and not hurt myself, you know what I mean? Worth it. If I can, like, accidentally fall off the edge of the bed just because I'm like, oh, I don't know my spacing after 33 years, every once in a while, it's just like, oh, what is this? I'm falling down in midair. If I can, like, get better balance, let's do it. Point is, whatever it is, whether it's Scientology, whether it's, and if it's Scientology, and I've said this before, if I believe a good portion of it is Scientology, and not to take away from anything TC's, because this individual is just unbelievable. Unfucking believable. I love it. I love it. It's inspiring. And if it's anything, if it's Scientology, dude, sign me up, ladies and gents. What does it take? Is it money? Because I have good fucking news for you guys. Let me just search these pockets. These pockets are good pockets. They're tight pockets. They're good pockets. Because if it's a money thing, I can come in there. Do you take cash and credit? Do you take credit? Because I don't have cash. But if you take credit, I don't even have that much credit, dude. But if you are willing to take a large IOU, I'm down with it. I don't care. I really don't. What are the basics of Scientology? That's like, oh, I'm good with it, dog. If we don't gotta talk about Miss Cabbage, Miss Savage, the founders, the leader of the Scientology church. If we don't gotta talk about the missing wife, if we gotta keep it on the DL, we're not gonna talk about the missing wife, fam, because we all about that Scientology, son. What you know about Elron, dude, that's his name. Hubbard. Rhymes with cupboard also, but that's not the point. The point is, whatever it is, it's a lot of TC. I bet a little bit of it is Scientology, dude. I'd like in whatever it is. What are we doing? Is it baby juice? Is it adrenochrome? What is it? You're like, it's not adrenochrome. It's not even what you think it is. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I'm not educated. Maybe it's not like you're not killing like babies. I'm not saying this like by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying like, but what if it's like aborted babies, aborted baby placenta? You know what I mean? If it's like you drink a little bit of baby placenta, whatever, like, it's aborted babies, like maybe like 2-month-old aborted baby juice, blend it up, fucking like chugga. Next thing you know, oh, what is it? It's a cube and a sphere. No, it's not a fucking TC, baby. That's what it is. All this time, oh, there's a mysterious object in the sky. What is it? It's TC, man. Somebody control this guy. He's flying everywhere. But also, don't. Keep on riding, big fella. Fuck, man. That is awesome to see that. He's doing his own stunts. He's riding this motorcycle because he's TC, and he's done like 6,000 jumps in like one day. He's jumping in mid-air, doing the whole fucking Superman. All I see is this fella, 60 years old, fucking revving the engine, going on an incline, and coordinating it. And he's just like, he takes off, he's in mid-air now, he goes off of the bike, now he's flying. I'm Tom Cruise, baby, I'm just gonna fucking fly, baby. And he does, and he's talking to you as he's jumping out of the fucking airplane, or the helicopter, or the heliplane. He's in a fucking heliplane, baby. That's a helicopter and a plane. TC level shit, son. I'm saying I'm impressed. I've been a huge fan ever since I was, probably, I'd say way back, dude, way back. Back in, I can remember being in my dad's CAC, hoping that one day I'd get out and be like, man, I'd be down to like watch Tom Cruise movies and be like, man, that's really dope. That's what I'm trying to say. It goes way back. And I do appreciate a fella's dedication to his craft. That is like that, we do, if I may be serious for just a moment, if a man can be for just a moment serious, I do really appreciate people who are just like killing it in life. And whatever it is that it is working for you, I love it. Because what other fucking 60-year-old do you see? Everybody else at 60 is like, oh, motorcycle, get away from me. This guy sees a motorcycle, he's all over it. You see a Ducati, there's Tom Cruise right there. Ducatis be running away from Tom Cruise because every time he sees one, he's on one, just fucking swerving. Rides his own bikes, drives his own airplanes, opens his own parachutes, hangs from his own ceilings. And low key, but also high key, looking really fucking good, dude. Looking really fucking good for 60, dude. 60 is like not an old. That's the thing. You would think that more people would look like Tom Cruise. Like, maybe. I don't know. It's something. Maybe not. Maybe that's way off. More people probably do not. No, more people don't look like. But that's what it is. You look at a fella and it's like, man, he could be 60, but take him far enough. What is it? 25, 30? You know what I mean? Like from a distance, 25, 30, 35, even 40, dude. You could, from a distance, you could legit be like 30s, mid 30s from afar. Near, you're like, I see, this is a mature fella, you know? That's what it is, baby. Living that zaddy life, doing it big. TC energy, love it. But that's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gents, there's so many wonderful things to be doing in and around this planet. Whatever you're doing, it is the holiday season. Love yourselves, love each other, spread love. We all need more of it. This planet is in dire need of more love. That's what I see, baby. But we're doing it. We're doing it together. You're doing it. I'm hoping I'm doing my little part here, and I hope to bring you guys more laughs and more joy and more pleasure in the future. And because that's what it is, baby. We drive on pleasure, and you know, not like it's not like our main, but it is actually. It's one of our like main, like, you know, top 5. Pleasure is definitely top 5 in this podcast. And we're growing each and every day thanks to you guys. Where can you find these videos? On YouTube, on Instagram, on patreon.com/RobSadri. Go ahead and click on those subscribe buttons on YouTube so you get the full-length videos. Baby boys, baby girls, I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next time I see you, it'll be right before Christmas, baby. Have some fun out there. I'll talk to y'all very soon. Love y'all. Right there. Peace out.